I know there's nothing worse for a parent than when your kid can't breathe, you know, and you can't help it. So whether it's asthma, whether it's snot problems, whatever it is, we all have issues. Let me ask you a question. If your kid can't breathe, what are you going to do? So when we had our 5th child, she couldn't breathe. She was having some snot issues. And what we had to do is, well, we woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning and we put her little finger on one of these oximeters. Well, these are a great tool. Every parent should have one just to see how your kid's blood oxygen level is. So we grabbed one of these and put it on her, and it was really low. It was alarming, obviously. We tried to suck the nose out with a little bulb syringe, you know, and nothing was working. So now I've got to tell you this. I actually put my lips on my daughter's nose, and I opened her mouth, and I gently sucked all the snot out of her nose into my mouth. I know, I'll pause for disgust. Trust me. I, of course, spit it all out. It was disgusting. Pretty soon, it filled up again, and we had a whole nother problem. We eventually took her to the hospital, tested her for a bunch of problems and infections, and a week later, and $20,000 later, we were fine. So, while I'm there, I watched these nurses walk in with this machine. And it's a suction machine that attaches to the wall, and they grabbed this little bitty nose probe that attached to it, and they stuck it straight down in her nose, and they sucked so much snot out of her body. You know, every once in a while, not often, but probably a couple times a day. And it was amazing. Pretty soon, after that, I walked out of the whole hospital. I left my wife and my daughter there, and I went directly to the pharmacy, and I said, I want to buy one of these. Check this out. This is a suction machine that we bought. Now, this isn't the original machine I bought. In fact, it's a newer model because we broke the other one. Hey, you got a bunch of kids. You run through equipment, don't you? This is how it is. So, I start to look at what's available nowadays. They have this new thing called a nose Frida. Seen that? Made in Sweden, right? Made in Sweden, I'm sure. Wonderful people there. Look at that little thing. So you put it in the kid's nose, and you suck with it, and you know, it's got a little filter here so you don't get snot all in your mouth. One of the problems with this thing is look at the size of that little nub. That thing is not going to fit down in my kid's nose. It's going to fit right there at the outside, and really, that stuff's already coming out, isn't it? I mean, that's already runny nose. It's already coming out. What about the stuff that's way up in that sinus? The other problem is you'll give yourself, my wife says, you'll give yourself an aneurysm sucking so hard to try to get a little bit of snot out that it's almost not worth it. So it might have been a good idea, but not good enough. So here's what we use. We use this suction machine right here. This bad boy is amazing. You can crank up how much suction you want or don't want right here on the side. You got a little gauge right here, and it creates a suction into the valve with a. It has a filter right here, and then of course you have the liquid that comes in here. It's a blend of water and of course of snot. And we're going to use it because this little guy right here woke up with a lot of snot. So you know when your kids are sneezing all the time, they're sneezing up snot bubbles and it's way up in there. Well, that's time to do something about it because you don't want it to sit up in there and get infected. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to show you how we use it. So a few things real fast. I'm going to show you. Going to have a cup of water because you got to lube up the actual tube. Okay. You got these little Remedies saline drops. Okay. This is really good. Notice his name, Jed, is actually on the bottle. The reason why is, I mean, think about it. If they have an infection and you use these on one kid and then you have another one that's like a year older, you use it on them too, this touches their nose. So infection spread, we don't need that. So we put each name for each bottle for each kid. It's just smart. Then, of course, we got the machine. It's ready to go. It's ready to go. And what we do is we stick it in here. We suck up a little bit of water. I'll show you how it works. Okay. So we have a little tip where I can break the suction at any time with my finger. So it's not sucking until I stick my finger on here and close the hole, and now suction takes place. We brought our changing table out here to show you. We're gonna put him on here, and right now he's pretty happy. He's got some snot problems, but he's a happy baby. And a few things real fast before we get going. So that this thing's gonna go into his nasal cavity, okay? You don't wanna go too far. You don't want to poke him. So what I do is I take it and I lube up the tip. I already got a little water run through the hose. Everything's good. I'm gonna put my hand right here on his head, and I'm gonna stick using my fingers down into his nose. Not right here. It actually goes down into his cavity, and you'll see what happens. And you'll see a bunch of snot come out. So, you know, as a parent, you don't like to see your kids cry, but sometimes you do things to help them that they don't understand, and it's irritable, and their response is crying. Well, that doesn't mean you're hurting them. It just means they don't like it. And at his age, he just doesn't understand. But we're doing what's best for him. And I just want you to notice that. If you're not a parent or you're about to be, those things happen, okay? And as a father of 8, hey man, I understand that pretty well. So he is pretty calm right now and everything's good. We're gonna put some little nose drops in his nose. What that does is it loosens up, even though it's mucus and it's already wet, a little water in there kind of loosen everything up. Okay, just a few drops in each nostril. That's gonna irritate him. That's gonna start the irritation. I'm gonna turn it on, dip it in here, and get a little water to lube everything up. And then I'm gonna stick my hand right here in his forehead and gently go down in each nostril a few times. Now, you don't wanna do it a whole lot, because then what you end up doing is making it irritable in there. And guess what? If it's irritable, it's gonna produce more snot. So you wanna get in, get out, and then of course you got a passy here for him, or mama's here, and instantly, because he's a big boy and he did good, he gets to eat or he gets to be comforted, okay? So these are just things that that we've learned over time. It always helps, because you don't want him to cry a whole lot. If he cries more, guess what? You're defeating your purpose, right? Because he's creating more snot. So let's get to it. Okay. Well, as you can see, it was a lot of setup for very little amount of time that we actually used the suction machine. It actually, what was it, maybe 20 seconds?
Oh yeah, fast.
20 seconds, maybe 10 seconds per nose, and we got out a ton of snot. Yeah. Look at him, he's happy. He can breathe better, so you know he's happy. I mean, that's a great thing.
Immediate relief, because they're nose breathers. They constantly breathe through their nose. When they're eating, they breathe through their nose. When they're sucking on a passy, they breathe through their nose. So they have to be able to have clear, you know.
Yes. And of course, he's going to fixing to go eat and be real happy and breathe through his nose. So I would recommend this to you guys. Really think about it. I know for many of you, you're thinking, what's cost? How much does it cost? Well, a geriatric supply house where they sell canes and this is where we got this. Because a lot of older people have phlegm, snot problems, and they have to have this machine with a big old tube to stick down in their throat. I mean, it doesn't sound great, but it's convenient for us as parents, because now we just use the same machine, modify the tip, and now our kids can breathe better. And it's one of the best investments we've ever had. It really is. It's empowered us as parents to be able to, take control of something rather than have to run to the doctor every time our kid's got a low oxygen blood level because he can't breathe. So I'm not saying don't take your children. What I'm saying is this This gives you another tool in your arsenal to battle sickness, issues, problems that maybe your kids will have. Whether they're teething, flu season, allergies, pollen in the air, spring, fall, those things. So it's always nice to have another weapon. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to do great. I hope this is informative to you. Please like and subscribe. And we'll have a few other gadgets, a few other things that we've learned through over the years. Maybe it'll be helpful to you. I appreciate it, and thanks for watching Shanktuary.